but I hardly hear you.
I can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you, but
I'm hearing you, but your voice is not clear.
I hear myself loud and clear. I'm actually sharing from my phone. Am I still here? Am I still here? Pardon me, I think my other self left. I'm joining with them.
Your screen is not sharing and something like that.
I'm back now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So we're going to be starting with what version control is. It's a system that tracks your files in a project. Every point you get to in a project, it tracks it down for you, saving them in a particular point in time. In the format of versions, that's what really gets it. So in the case whereby something breaks, you're able to revert back to an older version. So let's say I'm working on a particular project and then we're trying out new functionalities on that system. Okay, fine. If that system gets an error or the bug, it's a big one. Instead of wasting so much time trying to fix that particular one, we revert to the older version and continue working on the new one until it's ready. That's what Git helps us to do in general. Also, have the types of Git version controls. We have the centralized version control. We have the centralized version controls. Now, for the centralized one, just as the name goes, it's a thing that holds down the whole project on a server, like a remote server. Now, anyone working on the server, on the project, just gets a particular copy of the file they use. They don't get the whole repo itself. So you can have tons of files, but I just want to work on a particular app file. I just get that particular down to my system. I work on it, and the other person, the same workflow goes on. We have examples of them, which are like Subversion, SVN. We have Perforce here. All of these are types of centralized version control system. So that the general knowledge is to have a file in one place while everybody just have little parts of the file they're working on. That's the idea behind a centralized version control. Other than the decentralized one, it's a different approach entirely. Now everybody gets a full repo. Anyone working on the system gets a copy of the whole project on your local machine. Now, examples of that is my career. For the purpose of this presentation, we're going to be talking about Git itself. Git is like the most popular of them all. So we'll be talking about it as we go further. Next up is the importance of version control. What does version control help us do? It helps us keep a long term of our history. Whatever goes on in our projects, it's capable of recording everything step by step. No history is lost. That's important we have there. Just for instance, someone's system goes down and talking about. As long as you've been controlling it, you have the version. You can always pull back this history back. There's nothing lost. We have the next thing, which is branching and merging. Now, this is one of the coolest thing about version control. Now, we could be working on a particular project, like this is the main branch here. We're working on this particular thing. Things are working fine though, yes. And then we think about implementing some new features, how we do this, how we do that. But now it's still a test process. So what we can do is create another branch away from the main branch that will begin to work on those things that we need to work. As we keep working and working, and we have seen that fine, oh, this is working great, it's fine and everything. So the main person on the project can then decide to merge them. So everything gets chunked together. The new system is put together with the old one, filtered out, and we have a great working system. It's one of like biggest components of GIT version control. It gives us control over things, so we don't have to just merge things and get things so scattered. Organization is very important. Next up is traceability. Now, we don't have to worry about looking through a long file to find things. It's easy because Git's version control saves our files with IDs. So we can easily find those things that we need to find with versions, with time and dates and all of those things. So we can easily go back to a commit, and it's awesome. Next up is flexibility. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, it's just like I said, it's about silence. Okay, flexibility here has to do with either the work is a small project or a big project. No matter the type of project, version control accommodates everything. It's so flexible that no matter the type of work you're doing, you can get that done on Git version control. And I have the very last one here, which is security. It has a high-end security thing. We can place our projects on public or private. When it's on private, it's only those that are working on it that get access to the particular project. No third parties or no external views from it. It's wonderful to have such a system, and it's also great and important to also have it as our type of control when working on a project. So for the Git terms, commands, and the workflow, we have a lot of terms, so just a few of them here. We have the untracked files, we have state changes, we have state changes, and we have commits. I will be talking about each of them right now. Now, for untracked file, I begin to work on a new project. All of the files that I create in this my new project, as long as I have not committed them, it has no traces to them. It doesn't know about those files. So they are called untracked files. Now, when I begin to track my files, now to talk about that, I will have to look at my command. If I want to track my files, I have to use these commands over here. Now, Git status one shows us all of our files. It shows us those files that are not tracked. It shows us those files that are tracked. Now, if I want to begin to track my files, I will have to use the git add command. Now, the git add command will keep the unstaged changes and move all of my files or the files that I specify into stage changes. Now, what are stage changes? They are those changes that are ready to be saved. They're not saved yet, but they are ready to be saved. We get our files ready to be saved with the git add command. And then when we say, fine, yes, my files are ready to be saved, I'm going to run a git commit, and then all of the files under state changes will be moved to commit. Now, when they get commit, that's the save point. We can now decide to push up to GitHub or GitLab, whichever one is our choice. Now, it's great that we begin to work on a new system again, and then any file it comes under untracked file. Then, okay, what for instance, I wanted to show that, hey, some of my other files that I have created a new file here that needs to be tracked as well. and I make the change to a file that has already been committed. Now that file will automatically move to unstaged change. Now, it is because it has been saved before in memory, so it's being tracked, but it's not ready to be saved yet. That's why it's on unstaged. But by the time I run git add again, it goes on to state changes and so on and so forth. I'm going to actually run a presentation now on this particular thing to understand how it really works. This is how it starts. If I'm working in a source folder with app.js, and then I'm ready to actually save this thing, run the git add command. My app.js goes into state changes. Wonderful. I could have brought everything separate. Only the app.js comes in because that's what I want. And then when I run the command, the commit, so I have a version of my application right here with an ID. In real life, it could be longer, but for the purpose of this presentation, we have this short series of characters right here. Fine, just like I said before, if I begin to work on a new file, yes, indexation is my source folder. Fine, it's still untracked. And remember that I have app.js right here, and I begin to tell that JS that hey, I have this index.js, you need to track it to. This app.js comes under unstate changes, and by the time I hit git add, both of them comes under state changes, and finally with my git commits, I have a new version of my application right here. That's how the workflow of Git goes on. So with that, I can say that I want to conclude this version with telling us that version control is a great way to keep track of the current things that happen in our project. Also let us know that we have two types of version control, the CVSC, which is our centralized version control system, and the central distributed version control system. That's version control has many benefits to good performance. And that's the end of my presentation. I can have questions now. Silence.
Somebody can ask your questions if there are no questions.
Okay, thank you. Since there are no questions, I will ask my first question, which is what is version control? Anyone answering?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mandela.
Yeah, version control, from what I understood, is it's a kind of a system that enables software developers to be able to monitor development. And besides monitoring development, they should be able to automate many things during software creations and things like that.
Yeah, great, great. Okay, next up on my question is, there are two types of version control systems, which are, I just want the names of this version control system. Who's answering? Okay, if there's no answer, I would go over that particular one again. Say, there are two types, which is the centralized version control system and the distributed version control system. I still have another question. I just mentioned centralized version control system. Can someone tell me the difference between them? No one's talking.
You can call names. Benjamin can call names.
Oh, okay. One more question is that, did we understand it in the first place? Because you could have asked questions if you did not understand. Oh, the same. Okay, I'm gonna attack you for answer. Paul.
Hello?
Yes.
What was the question?
I said, what was the difference between centralized version control system and distributed version control system?
The difference between I did not, I came in late, so I did not get that.
Okay. So for that reason, I'll explain again. Now, I said that centralized version control system and distributed version control system are the two types of version control system we have. This centralized one has all of the projects saved in a remote server, while everybody working on this system just gets a copy of the file, the particular file they need to work on their local machine. They don't get the whole thing. But for distributed version control system, they get all of the files attached, the full repo on their machine. So they're able to know what's happening, keeping track of it themselves, and then they push off it to the new system. That's the difference. Do we get it now? Paul.
Sorry, recap. You were breaking on. I did not really get that.
I think it's the network.
You can come again just one more time, so I can understand
Jesus
better.
Christ. Hallelujah. All right, I'm coming again. Centralized version control system, like I said, it's a type of version control system that has all of the files saved in a particular remote server. Did you get that?
Yeah.
So anybody working on it just gets a copy of the file they need. Just one copy. They work on that and that's it. But for the distributed one, there's a main server, but anybody working on it gets the full copy on their local machine. That's the difference. Did you get this one?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's more like it. I think this will be the end of my presentation. Everybody's gone cold and silent. Thank you, Mr. Jacob, for giving me the time to present today. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you, Benjamin. So thank you. We're ending the KD for today. Thank you very much.